Welcome, welcome, welcome to Seek ELLAvation with Ella Keisha, where you will get tips, strategies, and motivation to elevate your business and personal life practices from our various discussions. We can talk about things that are business related, we can talk about relevant hot topics, or I can give you some legal information. With that being said, let me give you my disclaimer. Anytime the discussion does include any legal information, I am not giving you legal advice. I'm giving you information to dig deeper on, to expound on, to see if it applies to your situation. I will have to know your specific situation to give you legal advice. And because I don't know that and you have not paid me, I am not giving you legal advice, but I am giving you information hopefully to expand your knowledge. And then if it sounds like it applies to you, hopefully hire legal counsel to discuss the information further. So although I am an attorney, I'm just not yours. With that being said, and that out the way, I want to talk about what I'm doing a little differently this week. We are now on episode 60, but what I intended to share, I'm not going to share. What I want to do is do a reshare of something that I have spoken on before. It's not a reshare of a Seek ELLAvation segment, but it's a reshare of a speech that I actually did, a presentation I did. I did the final presentation for a TEDx talk, and if you want to go see the final one, you can go to the TEDx website and look it up. It's called Deconstructing Social Engineering. But I want to share with you the preliminary delivery of that message because I feel it is timeless. We're constantly finding ourselves in the same place. And when I wrote this message, I wrote it from the time where everything was just hitting at a climax, because of the pandemic, because of the social injustices, inequalities, everything that just was really hitting the surface. I wrote this from my heart that I felt, would penetrate any listener because we're contributing, or we can contribute to moving forward as a society on so many different levels, and not looking towards some type of savior, one person to, fix everything, or someone outside of yourself to start seeing things differently and hopefully they fix it for you. It all starts with you. And I just definitely want to reshare this message, especially seeing hashtags. We hashtag a lot. It's repetitive hashtags. A lot of times we can actually just save the hashtags and just repost them after a certain period of time, because that's all we do is hashtag, and we do share our disappointment, our grief, and everything else. But I just want to keep hammering in this message that it takes us, it takes our mind, it takes our courage, it takes our heart, it takes everything, our everything that we have, that we possess is enough to eradicate what we don't want. And the things that can't be eradicated, we have enough in us to exude power over those things, and not those things having power over us. So for episode 60, I would like to share the whole social engineering concept that I feel goes on, and that keeps a lot of us like puppets, and a lot of us fighting a continual fight that looks the same. No matter how much it looks the same, we'll continue to fight the same way. So I just wanted to go ahead and share this message again for episode 60. And I never shared it on my Seek ELLAvation podcast, where major streaming platforms. I've shared the video before, but not on the Seek ELLAvation podcast. So now I want to share it on there, and as well I will upload the video again on the YouTube page. So if you want to see me actually delivering the message, you can go to the YouTube page. Again, if you want to see the final message of the delivery, the final, then you can go to the TEDx page. But so I just want to share the whole concept of us being socially engineered, and to think have us believe that we are fighting the good fight when we're fighting a fight that is expected for us all to fight and remain in the same place until we deconstruct, until we dismantle our social engineering, not a system, not focusing on dismantling a system. The system is in here, not focusing on what we need to do outside of ourselves. It is the spirit within ourselves that is defeated. It is the spirit within ourselves that we have to elevate in order to see any change that we are hoping for, we are desiring for. So please enjoy this message for episode 60, and I will see you next week. Elevators, we're always going up.
Well, I have always been destined to be a fighter. I got my first lesson when I entered this world as ELLAvation and fought to remain in it at a young age, when I wrestled with death for weeks in an incubator that came to me in the form of a bronchial infection. I guess I showed how committed I was to my assignment because I survived it, and it's been game on ever since. And my life mission has been to empower individuals. And I have dedicated my vocation to empowering athletes and creatives. And I'll tell you what I learned from this. But in the meantime, I want to say that some individuals think that these talents are just entertainers. Well, as an athlete who has competed in track and field on all levels for 20 years in high school, college, and professionally, I view these individuals as gifts blessed with platforms to speak a universal language, to heal, and to unify. In other words, to do more than just entertain. These platforms can be used to impact my neighborhood, your neighborhood, to create communities that can shift this world. Sports and arts have always been used to move us forward socially, economically, and politically. And despite the attempts to undermine this truth at times, the fact remains that powerful platforms are created in these industries, and they will continue to push us forward. This is why, as a sports and entertainment attorney, my form of activism is to not only use the stroke of a pen to advocate for economic inclusion in these multi-billion and trillion-dollar industries, but to also empower the creative's mindset on the importance of ownership as the foundation to effectuate change. But in my quest, I've learned that there are two wars to fight. And I've asked myself, why must I fight the vultures? And there's also this battle to convince individuals to not willingly become prey. Why do the very individuals who have these industries thriving transfer their power from these platforms? Well, with COVID-19, I had a lot of time to sit and reflect. And a lot of light has been shed on answers to these questions, answers that have already been there. But because of this pandemic, that light just have that illuminated a lot brighter. And we have been forced to come face to face with a lot. Social injustices, inequalities, disproportionate effects of the virus. And this is what I've learned. I've learned that the issues that I see in the business of sports and entertainment is cut from a larger cloth that covers the issues of our world. A cloth that is hemmed together by the threads of social engineering. What is social engineering? Social engineering is the art of exploiting the human psychology. It is the management of human beings in accordance to their place and function in society. And in our society, some things have changed, but the foundation has not. And everything is influenced by that. This is why I believe we feel stuck at the brink of a true evolution, whether it's in the sports and entertainment world or our entire world. We are suffering from a condition that promotes immediate reactions to unacceptable circumstances, but not demanding responses that will foster change. Let me ask you a question or two. Why is it that we find ourselves debating the same points? Why is it that we continue to ask the same questions over and over? My answer? Because there is no clear purpose or true execution without deconstructing social engineering. A plan for anything cannot be impactful if we're not prepared, yes, but also if we don't become the condition to bring forth that change in our mindset, our heart set, and our courageous spirit. To that point, I want to bring you all back with me for a moment. Come back to me to a time that I got my aha moment many, many years ago watching The Wiz. And some of you may be asking, The Wiz, what is The Wiz? Well, The Wiz is the soulful version of The Wizard of Oz. Now, they both was based on the same underlying principle, but there was a stark difference on how each of them dealt with social engineering. And I saw art imitating life when I watched both of these and the many choices that we have when we are socially engineered. And so you have Dorothy, who was on her quest to Emerald City to find the Wiz. And along her journey, she met 3 friends who were socially engineered. One of them, mind was controlled. One of them, heart was shattered. And one of them, courage was hammered. And believing that each of them lacked one of these 3 attributes, a brain, a heart, and courage, they joined Dorothy in a march to find the Wiz to ask him to help change their condition. Now, really quickly, I want to just talk about these 3 attributes and how they are affected by social engineering. And you can plug in anyone in the areas of the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, or the Lion. You may even plug in yourself. But I'm speaking to my community, my Black community, my allies, and my accomplices. Now our brain, our mindset, the Scarecrow and the Wiz in the Wizard of Oz was in search of a brain. But in the Wiz, the Scarecrow believed he didn't have one because he was told this over and over. He even had to recite a doctrine to remind himself that he didn't have a brain. He wanted so badly to get down from this apparatus that he was erected on, but he didn't. Not because he was stuck or fixed to it in any way. He was actually free to get down at any time. But he believed he couldn't, and therefore remained in his position. You see, our brain is a powerful tool that we possess. And social engineering perpetuates the type of mind control that the Scarecrow was subjected to. We are fed what to think. We are told myths instead of truths. We are invaded by media manipulation that fuels righteous rage and encourages insanity by doing the same thing over and over and over with new people and getting old results. You see, your every actions may not be dictated by social engineering, but the ultimate results of them are. And we keep telling ourselves things will get better just to ease our state of mind. You can't win, child. You can't break even. You can't get out of the game. Ha! 9 to 10 man, our heart, our compassion. The 10 man in the Wiz and the Wizard of Oz was in search of a heart. But the 10 man in the Wiz, he lost everything that he had and that he knew was destroyed. And he thought he was not able to feel any emotion. And just like the 10 man, social engineering is desensitizing us. It is leaving us searching for our hearts. It is making us want to control our emotions. Our hearts are being hardened by false narratives, orchestrated divisions, traumas, and all the isms. Ageism, sexism, colorism, classism, racism. You see, social engineering supports false narratives that sets tones for things to happen to those individuals or by those individuals that narratives are created around. A world that operates around opinions that destroys affects the heart sets of those targeted. In the words of Bill Bullard, opinions is really the lowest form of human knowledge, for they require no accountability and no understanding. The highest form of human knowledge is empathy, for it requires us to suspend our egos and live in another's world. It requires the profound understanding that is larger than the self-kind of understanding. And lastly, the lion. The lion in The Wiz and the Wizard of Oz was in search of his courage. But in The Wiz, the lion functioned by putting on a front that he was bolder than what he was in hopes to convince Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and Toto that he was that bold. But when Toto came barking at him, he folded. Our spirit encompasses our courage. It is the anchor of our faith, our hope, and our fight. And no matter if it is deep-rooted anger or embedded terror that is used, a broken spirit is a gateway to defeat. So no matter the front what we put on or how bold we try to be, if we don't exercise that courageous spirit, when Toto come barking, we will fold. You see, social engineering wants us to be blinded to the courageous spirit that we possess. Because to grow is courage. To resist is courage. To lead is courage. Alexander the Great said it the best. I am not afraid of an army of lions led by sheep. I am afraid of an army of sheep led by a lion. And so they made it to Emerald City and they found the wizard. Each of them put forth their request to the Wiz. And he sent them on a high goose chase to go kill the Wicked Witch of the West before he granted their wishes. And they achieved this task just to return to find that the Wiz was a fraud. And at this moment, they realized that he never intended to fulfill their desires. Social engineering was exposed. But this is the turning point. Here is the turning point. In The Wizard of Oz, the wizard gave each of the friends external awards as validations for what they were seeking. But in The Wiz admitted to being a coward, a fraud that hid behind the mask that made him more powerful than what he really was. It was Dorothy. Dorothy pointed to the evidence that each of them already possessed everything that they need within them. They just had to believe. The Scarecrow brain led them. The Tin Man tears broke spells, a teeny. The Lion courage saved their lives. So what does this mean for us? What does this mean? Whether I am empowering people in the sports and entertainment world, or we are moving our world forward, it can't be done by looking to a whiz. We must remove the mask in which the whiz gets its power. The education system, judicial system, employment system, housing system, political system have all along been the mask that the whiz have hidden behind. Social engineering hijacks the progression of our world. We must reimagine and reconstruct what all of these look like. We must deconstruct social engineering by freeing our minds, strengthening our hearts, and moving in courage to uplift our neighborhoods, to create communities that will shift this world. We don't need external validations. It is and has always been in us.